Welcome to Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerantz. The next half hour will indeed be enlightening, illuminating, and I hope inspirational. For quite some time, we've been looking at our prison system and what do we do with those that are incarcerated, because in the final analysis, many of those in our jails and prisons will be released. For many years in the state of California, there was a prevailing philosophy: lock them up, throw away the key. It appears that that philosophy is starting to wane, and with the enactment of realignment, AB 109, we have seen counties increased in their responsibility, the need to help those that are in their custody move out and make lives for themselves once they are released. And that job in San Luis Obispo County has fallen on Ian Parkinson, who interestingly became sheriff just as AB 109, is that right?
Just several months before.
Well, AB 109,
surprise.
Right, was exactly, ta-da, was taking effect. He is joined by Jeff Thomas, who is the business manager of the Plumbers and Steamfitters Labor Local 403. Say it right.
It's Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 403.
Perfect.
It has nothing to do with the laborers.
Okay, so I thank you for that. We got to get our union titles correct. We'll talk to Mr. Thomas in a second. First, I want to speak with Sheriff Parkinson about what the county, as an example of any county, been doing as you've seen more folks come into your jail system as a result of AB 109.
Well, Brad, you and I have spoken before about realignment, and I've always told you that there is a bright side to realignment,
Right.
and that is that we receive funding. So our goal is to keep people out of custody.
Right.
So in order to do that, we have to, one, have programs that will teach them and counsel them, but two, we have to have partnerships. We have to have partnerships in the community because their time is not stopped when they leave the jail. The idea is when they transition out, they're successful, and that's how we reduce our recidivism rate, that's how we reduce our crime rate, all those things.
And the frustration has been for so many, both left, right, and center, that it's very difficult to get a job if you have a felony conviction. Even if that's a low-level felony conviction, it's been very difficult. Employers have been very reticent to hire those with a criminal record. You know, there's a lot of discussion, even amongst conservative circles, about whether that should be the approach we take. But what we do know, as part of realignment, you, the counties, are being given funds for rehabilitation programs. That's part of the reason. I mean, there was a Supreme Court ruling that required it, but that's part of the ethos behind it. And so one day you decided that you wanted to look at creating kind of a rehab type program. Talk to us about what your thinking had been.
Well, you're correct, and other than just the felony, the fact that they've been spending the last 6, 8 months, year in their jail, and they're showing that gap in their employment.
Right. Even if it was a misdemeanor.
Exactly, and so we were looking at trying to find skills that we could teach inmates in partnership, so when they got out, there was actually jobs available. And so we, have been exploring a number of different jobs. We happen to fall into this one that we're here to talk about today.
And let's talk about how you are actually pretty well positioned to make this work, because you had what's known as an honor farm already in operation. For our viewers, explain what the honor farm is, what an honor farm is.
An honor farm typically, and our standard, is a separate facility that is used to house inmates that are low level, low risk inmates. And so we look to put them to work in the community while they're working for us. So we might send them out with a road crew. Sure. We might have them doing basic maintenance around our building, really saving the taxpayer money and giving them something to do while they're in custody. So those are probably our inmates that are most able to re-enter society, but also be successful.
So talk to us about how Jeff Thomas came into your orbit and what happened with your plan to help these inmates.
Well, I would say we kind of stumbled on it. Jeff and I were actually in a meeting together and were first introduced to one another in the meeting. And after the meeting, we had a conversation, being that, Jeff is with the 403. Sure. We talked about what's the possibility of having a partnership with the 403 in their apprentice program and using inmates to participate.
And let's talk about 403. What exactly is the bailiwick, the strength, the focus of your organization?
Our organization is focused on plumbing, pipe fitting, and welding for industrial, residential, private, public work. We have an apprenticeship program and continued education for everybody involved.
So what did you think when Ian Parkinson, the sheriff, came up to you and said, "Oh, let's talk"? I mean, you don't want to talk to the sheriff usually, but this sounded like maybe it's the time to talk.
Yeah,
Am I wrong?
Totally different situation.
Exactly, yeah. Those were the bad days. We won't talk about those days, but I jest, of course. But what, talk to me about it.
Well, he approached me with trying to team up
Right.
and help the honor farm, the people that are getting
Right.
released from the honor farm, and the demand for welders within the nation right now is giant.
Amen. I mean, that's good to hear. 'Cause that means there's construction.
That's everywhere.
Right.
And in the United States as well as Australia and Canada, the United Association, which is AFL-CIO affiliated, that's who we deal with.
And as I understand it, welders make a pretty good living. I mean, these are well-paying, living wage jobs. Am I
That is
wrong?
correct. That is correct.
And so that, sir, that's the goal.
Well, what Jeff just said is probably one of the most exciting things that I heard during that conversation, is that there is a need for welders. And to me, that means there's a way of getting these inmates trained and employed, and by a very good organization that is local,
Right.
that understands what they're getting into and is making an investment.
Realignment hoped for is that with these lower level offenders serving time closer to home, that their reentry would be eased. And this really is kind of a perfect example. I mean, it's like the textbook case. So talk to us about what happened about 6 months ago, where the two of you put your money where your mouth is, you walk the walk, talk the talk, and you got this program off the ground.
Well, Jeff got back to us and said that they're definitely willing to participate, and we brought in a couple other partners. I have a programs unit inside the jail, and then we have America Job Center that is helping with the funding end of it, because there's cost involved, obviously. So we formed this partnership. We picked 3 inmates. They participated in the selection of inmates.
So, but tell me about that. I mean, how did you decide what 3? I'll tell you right now, one of those former inmates will be joining us, and I honor him for doing that. It's not easy to come on television and talk about anything, let alone your prior incarceration and now your successful reentry. But how did you select?
Well, it was a process. First, we put out of interest to the people in the honor farm who was interested in it, and then they did an interview process, who was the best fit for them. That's where participation from 403 came in, and ultimately we landed on what we felt are the 3 best inmates to begin this program. This is a very important start for us.
And it's not easy. I mean, you need to transport the inmates, and even though they're part of an honor farm, their transportation needs to be done in a very appropriate and safe way. So they, I assume, are shackled. Is that right? Not in a negative way, but do they?
No.
How do you get them there?
We transported them by van,
Okay.
just like we would to take them to court.
I see.
But in this case, they did not wear anything on them,
Right.
and really turn them over to the custody of the 403. And at the end of the day, we would come and pick them up.
I wouldn't want you to be my boss, I gotta say. You're the perfect person, actually. I mean, I jest, of course, and I can imagine that you really are a mentor and an inspirational figure for these individuals. So as I said, when we come back, we're gonna speak with one of those former inmates. Thomas Rodriguez is his name. He was one of the first 3 graduates. We're gonna have the sheriff stay with us. We'll talk to Thomas, and then you'll come back and you'll talk with us about Thomas and his amazing future. I'm so appreciative of you both being here. We are speaking with Ian Parkinson, Jeff Thomas, and soon to be speaking with Thomas Rodriguez. I'm Brad Pomerantz. It's Charter Local Edition. Welcome back. It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are still speaking with the Sheriff of San Luis Obispo County. His name is Ian Parkinson. He has kindly brought one of his former, I don't know, roommates maybe, although you're not incarcerated, but one of his former dorm mates, we'll say. His name is Thomas Rodriguez. I thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine it's easy being on television at all, but you're coming on TV to talk about maybe a mistake that you made, but how you're turning it around and looking towards the future, and thank you for that, truly. So, Thomas, tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and how you wound up getting to know the sheriff.
Well, I grew up in San Bernardino. I moved here when I was 16, and I was just getting myself into a lot of trouble.
Sure.
I wound up incarcerated for a year and a half. Made it out to the honor farm.
Right, and so let's slow down if we can, because I do want to get a sense about, you are incarcerated, obviously a lower level crime, obviously non-violent, because you wouldn't have been eligible for the honor farm and or the program. So once you were incarcerated, how did you find yourself in the honor farm? Because that, like you said, it's an honor. I mean, how did that happen? Do you remember?
It's more like if you don't want to be stuck in the dorm settings,
right.
There's more freedom,
right.
more things to do, keep yourself busy to get through time.
But did you ask, hey, I want to go to the honor farm? Oh, so you knew about it?
Yes.
And he was deemed eligible. What made him eligible, sir? Or someone like him?
I would say it starts with a qualifying offense,
right.
but more importantly, it's behavior.
Right.
I mean, Thomas was a candidate because he earned it through his behavior,
right.
to be there.
Right.
And really, that's what we want. We want them to want to be there.
Sure.
But two, it's a chance for people like Thomas to occupy their time,
of course,
and make it actually useful time.
Could you have ever imagined, though, that you'd wind up in a facility, the honor farm, that would actually put you on a path to a successful life? I mean, because literally, you're off and running, man. I mean, you're in good shape. You're doing good. You're good. So what happened? How did you hear about the welding program?
Well, so when I was on the honor farm, as the baker. I had heard that they were having sign up for, the vocational welding
right.
program. And originally they had said, you have to have this much time or more to sign up.
Oh.
So I didn't have that much time. I wasn't qualified at the time, so I didn't sign up.
Okay.
And then one morning, Officer TG,
right.
One of the COs there, had
right.
woken me up, spoke with me why I didn't sign up. I explained to him why I didn't sign up. And he said that he had signed me up and felt that...
Guess what? I signed you up.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He felt that I would be a good candidate, to give him my best shot.
Sheriff, that's really remarkable. It actually kind of makes me a little bit emotional, because how many people are at the honor farm?
We have upwards of 80.
I mean, this guy, this police officer, who I'm sure for most of your life you've seen them as somebody you want to stay away from. I mean, he really changed your life. You didn't have to do that.
No, definitely not.
You didn't have to do that.
I think that's the change of philosophy that's taking
right.
place through realignment. You see so many of our deputies in the jail that are they want to see people
right.
like Thomas succeed, and it's a change of their philosophy to
right.
do that. But it also has to be a change of philosophy from people there. They have to accept it and want to better themselves.
But I am sure this officer knew what he was dealing with at Thomas.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can already tell. The minute you walked in, I knew. Made a mistake, unfortunate. You're fine. You're going to be just fine. But for the officer to see out of 80 people, this young man who didn't sign up, and then he signed him up. I mean, that really, it's remarkable.
Yeah. It
really is. So what happened next?
He signed me up. We had to go through a pretty extensive interview process.
Right.
A lot of people signed up, so they started weaning people down.
Do you know how many, Sheriff, signed up?
I don't know how many total they signed.
Do you know?
I believe it was somewhere around 30.
For 3 spots?
Yeah. And then, you know,
it's like college. I mean, literally. Well, it is in a way. I mean, it is college. So keep going.
So they started weeding us down. Eventually, we got down to 8, and then they put us in front of an interview for the union with Jeff.
Right.
And the union chose 3, and I happened to be one of them, along with 2 others.
Why? I mean, what'd you do right, man? Why'd you get it? Do you know? Did you have experience?
No experience.
So
none
what
whatsoever.
happened? I mean, from 80 to 30 to 3? It's like, like a Miss America. Forgive me. Yeah.
You know, I'll just say from my perspective, not having sat on those interviews, it's his attitude and his desire to better himself. And you can teach anybody anything, but without those things, you're never going to be successful.
And of the 3 that started the program, 3 finished or are finishing. I mean, obviously they picked well because all 3 of you are on your way. Tell me about the program. While you were still incarcerated.
Well, I started the program. The program started when I got out.
So you were able to start. So were the other 2 all still incarcerated, Sheriff?
Yes.
Okay, so you were one. So I see. So they really took a chance on you because theoretically, since he was out, you didn't have as much. Did you have
Nothing.
You were not monitored. So and because I think one of the members who's participating now is out but monitored.
Correct.
So that really says a lot about, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking, but that says a lot about you that they were willing to keep you in. So, so still, tell us about the program.
You know, so they brought us in, we did a little book work.
Right.
You know, explained to us everything that was going to be happening, you know, what they expect, you know, from us. And they pretty much put us right into the booth in welding time.
What does that mean? For people like me, what does that mean?
They just taught us.
Say what you kind of put on.
Gave us the equipment to get started. America's Job Corporation supplied us with our welding masks and other.
That's the organization you mentioned.
Correct.
Now, I heard from a bird named Jeff Thomas that you recently received a certain certificate.
Yeah, me and the other.
One of the others?
Yeah, we both just got our first certification. Yep, so we're moving forward on to the next one.
What does that mean?
We're certified to weld a specific pipe in all positions. So we're moving forward on that.
So how are you doing? You've been out now for about 6 months. Are they paid, if I may ask, sir? Is it appropriate to ask? I mean, are you paid for while you're working? Are you in the program?
Not while we're practicing, no.
So how are you managing this? I hope you don't mind me asking, but
I've got a couple side jobs right now.
Okay.
In fact, I just picked up a side job welding on the part-time, somebody who is willing to teach me more that I don't know. So I got really lucky with that.
Hugely lucky.
Yeah.
So the program's at night?
It's during the day for us right now.
So how are you able to balance 2 side jobs and the program? You just do.
I just make time for it, you know?
So, but let me ask you, Sheriff, because it is, I think, a valid question. You know, for those that get out and continue the program, is it full-time? Is the program full-time or?
Right now, it's really more part-time.
Okay, so is that so? But do you help them then get employment so they can stay in the program? Or does someone help them? Does the American Job Center? Because I would hate for them to be in the program and then have to drop out once they are released.
Right.
America's Job Corporation has helped me the whole way. You know, they were there for me to find a job in the beginning, you know, and I actually just went a little bit beyond and tried to look for one a little bit more.
So I was going to mention, and they're certainly getting help, but part of the process is for them to find passion for what they're doing and the discipline that they're going to stay with it, because at the end of the day, when they get all their certifications and they get the experience, they do have a well-paying job waiting for them.
Right.
And we're in an area that has Diablo Canyon, which
needs welders.
A lot of welders needed. So there's the opportunity coming up. Part of our goal is to help with this transition.
Right.
So originally our thought is the inmates that are going to be participating are always going to be in our custody during this entire time. And then you have ones that get out, and we don't want to exclude them because they are as important as an inmate that's in. So trying to work with them and our partner agencies in the county, Sister Teresa Harpin, who does a lot of work for us, trying to mentor them and help them along the way, because it's not an easy road for them. Obviously you're hearing 2 jobs and this program. It's not going to be an easy one, but it's an opportunity that they never have.
Okay, Sheriff, I want to thank you for joining us. When we come back, we're going to have Jeff Thomas join us, talk about the future, talk about where you go next. I honor you both. My name is Brad Pomerantz. We'll be right back on Charter Local Edition. Welcome back to Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. We are still speaking about an innovative program out of San Luis Obispo with the Sheriff's Office as well as the Plumbers and Steamfitters Local 403, looking to help those that are in jail make a better life for themselves once they are released, because they will be released. There's no question about it, especially from county jail. You're going to be released. And we have one of those individuals with us. He continues to join us, Thomas Rodriguez, and then his boss, the big man, Jeff Thomas, who's business manager of the local. Thomas told us when we spoke in the last segment that there was an extensive interview process. About 30 guys applied, and you got down to 3. Why did he stand out, Jeff?
The answers that he gave to the questions that we were asking, and where he wanted to go in his future, were bright to us.
But still, I mean, 10% made it through out of 30. I mean, that's still a remarkable number, and quite the odds are stacked against you.
Right, and we did want to start off small because this is a pilot program. It hasn't been done before in our county, and we're trying to make it grow.
How did you hear the good news?
The sergeant from jail, from the programs unit, came in and told me that I was selected.
So you were almost ready for release? Is that what happened? And you started after release? It was just within a few weeks?
Yes.
Tell us about the guys. Tell us about Thomas and his 2 colleagues.
Well, they were all very nervous up front. They're getting into a curriculum that they had no experience at all.
Right.
And they were very open about it. They listened to what we had to give them for their education, showed them, put them in the booth, and with the hood down. Hood time is everything in welding. The more time under the hood, the better you get.
And so what is the program? I understand the first chunk is 18 weeks. Is that right, sir?
Well, there's an 18-week welding, strictly welding program.
Okay.
After they pass that, they are put into the apprenticeship program.
And is that what you passed? Is that what we talked about? You got your certificate?
No.
So what did you pass?
Right now, we're just practicing to get into the pilot program that's strictly welding.
Explain.
That's a 16-week program that it's actually starting at the latter part of this year, and they don't have to pass it, but it's part of getting in the apprenticeship program, which is a 4-year program, and they learn multiple skills, not just welding. They learn plumbing, drafting, tube bending.
And are you looking to get into that program?
Of course.
Explain.
The welding program that we're started off with them is to get them, because of the need for welders.
Right.
They're considered pre-apprentices right now.
Okay.
Once they pass the program, not pass, but once they go through the 18-week program, they're put into the apprenticeship program, which is 2 nights a week for 4 years. And they showed us that they made a commitment to fulfill this 4-year program, which they come out and become journeymen after the 4-year program and make a very good livable wage that they can prosper in the community, buy houses, raise their kids, whatever.
So I want to get a sense, there's no doubt that Thomas is serious about this. He has 2 jobs on the side because he has been released. Is that common? How does it work?
Well, it's common. Remind you that 18-week class is 4.5 months, 5 days a week.
Right.
No pay.
And that's what you're in. Well, sort of.
That's what's coming up.
That's what's coming up.
Yeah, it was supposed to start. We weren't able to have a program at the beginning of the year, so we kept them since it was
kind
a
of
pilot.
in the pre-apprentice stage.
Correct, and they go into our welding booth 3 days a week and weld for 8 hours a day.
It's kind of fun, isn't it?
And
I love it.
I know. I kind of want to go do that.
And the certification that he passed a welding certification. We
I
have
see.
over 100 different certifications that are offered by the plumbers and pipe fitters in the UA, and he passed his first one, which makes him a welder.
So do you have to pay for the program, any of the programs?
They do not pay for it. We pay for it, and then the AJC also reimburses us for some of our expenses.
But generally speaking, outside of this program, there is a cost to participate.
No. No, once you become in the apprenticeship program, or as those three are pre-apprentices, we offer that at our expense because they're making the commitment for a 4-year commitment into the apprenticeship program.
So how are you, or how was anyone managed for those 4.5 months?
Just as Thomas said, they take side jobs.
And you just make it work. Okay, Thomas, give us a sense of what this has meant for you.
It means a lot, you know. If this program hadn't been presented to me the way it has in any way, I would definitely still be out there with nothing to look forward to.
Right, nothing to do.
Nothing to do. Just pretty much living the way I was.
Tell me about your mom. I have a feeling she's proud. I know
Mom's
that
proud of me.
because I know that you took a picture with your two bosses, I'll call them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about her, because I have to think 2 years ago she was crushed.
Definitely.
That her boy wound up in jail. And that quickly, I'm getting emotional again. That quickly she realizes her boy's going to be just fine.
Yeah, definitely. When I wound up incarcerated, both my parents were both, disappointed, as any would be.
Right.
And then I told them that I got signed up for this program. They were happy for me that I got signed up.
Sure.
And then when I made it into the program,
they couldn't believe it.
They're helping me on ways that.
Are they still on the Central Coast?
Yeah.
So there's a support system there, which indeed has got to be beneficial. Tell me about your future. What are your goals? I mean, you're a young guy. What are your goals? What are your plans?
My goal, I'm gonna get up to journeyman.
Right.
I plan on sticking this out all the way through.
So do you want to stay in welding or plumbing or tube twisting or what are the other?
Well, they'll get to learn all facets of our trade, and we have continuing education even for journeymen.
Right. So have you decided is welding's it?
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it. I like where this is going.
So what do welders do in the most basic sense?
They weld pipe. They weld pipe together at different. It could be refineries. It could be power plants like Diablo Canyon.
And that's the key. I mean, this is really perfect.
Yes, and they have the opportunity to travel all over the country. Well, the world actually.
Right. So do you want to stay on the Central Coast? Do you feel like this is your home? I mean, like you said, you grew up in San Bernardino County. I mean, both great places for different reasons. Is this home now?
Right now it's home, but I'm open for moving around. I've always liked to travel, so when they pitched that to me, it was something that stood out too. I don't know in the future where home is going to be in the long run, but I'm open for suggestions.
Sure, okay. Well, hopefully someone's watching, although I'm sure you're going to be fine. And I do want to ask you that, Jeff. Aside from how he came to the local, are you also in the business of job placement? Or at least,
yes.
Job leads? Is that a fair way to say?
Yes, during their apprenticeship or continued education into journeyman, we find them work.
Right.
They don't have to go out and look for it. We find it for them. And so, I mean, it could be anywhere in the country.
I mean, literally 2 years ago, you're marching into jail, and 2 years later, you're the man. And you're set. I am so happy for you.
Thank you. I appreciate
and so
it.
happy for your parents. And just thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And Jeff, thanks for doing what you're doing for these guys. It's great.
Our pleasure.
My name is Brad Palmer, so I want to thank you so much for joining us on Charter Local Edition.